All right, it's time for your midweek political checkup. Here are three stories to keep an eye on. The first one is the Liberals table historic legislation providing protection under the Human Rights Act and the Criminal Code for transgender Canadians. This is the first time it's been a government bill, and this is the first time it's supported by all parties. It was put forward before as a private member's bill. The NDP MP Randall Garrison had put it forward. Then the Liberals and the NDP supported it, and only some Conservatives, like Lisa Raitt, James Moore, John Baird supported it, but over 130 Conservatives didn't support it, and it died in the Senate. And so yes, while Conservative senators like Don Plett say he won't support it, his opinion hasn't changed, this is the first time that all parties support this bill. It's a good thing. All Canadians, whatever gender, race, religion, deserve the same protection under the Human Rights Act and the Criminal Code. I do not believe the Senate will reject this, despite what Don Plett says, because it has all elected parties supporting that. Expect this historic piece of legislation to pass. I can't say the same about another piece of legislation, the very controversial Liberal legislation on physician-assisted death. They've tabled it. Some senators, Conservative senators, oppose this. Why? Because they look at it and they say this is too open-ended. It's a slippery slope, and they believe it's got to be much more restrictive, and they've proposed amendments. On the other side, senators say, wait a second, it's actually too restrictive when you measure it against the Supreme Court, and it might actually not survive a charter challenge. So for two different reasons, senators may oppose the Liberal bill. How fascinating. This is the first test of this new Senate. This is what Justin Trudeau wanted. You've got Conservative senators, Senate Liberals, and Independents. Can they actually pass this legislation? I don't think it gets passed by the Supreme Court's deadline of June the 6th. That's not critical. The provinces have their own guidelines already. But this is a very critical test. Will the Senate oppose a majority government and test their legitimacy in the eyes of the public? This is really exciting to watch and very important. I just think it's crazy that we're giving such short timelines to literally a life and death decision making to the Senate, and they have to rush through it. That's very surprising. Finally, keep your eye on the Fort McMurray fire. This story is a long way from being over. The fire is actually growing. This is a tragic situation. The people in Fort McMurray will not get back to their homes for weeks, if not months. That story is growing, and one political angle on it, if Justin Trudeau really eventually wants to support a future in Fort Mac, some believe he has to then support a pipeline that goes west to east. But look what's happening in Ontario. Kathleen Wynne, that plan has leaked out, a climate plan, $7 billion climate plan to actually reduce use on fossil fuels and increase electric vehicles. Can she introduce that kind of plan and support a west-east pipeline? That'll be very tricky. Keep your eye on all three of those.